Well. Happy Monday, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you're watching this. I'm going to talk to you guys today about the pin that will break the fiat monetary bubble. I read a good article today, and I'll get a link to it down below. So make sure you check it out and read it, because it makes a lot of sense when you start thinking about it. But it says Bitcoin's in a bubble. It's like the tulip bubble. And I just chuckle when I hear that stuff. Yes, lots of things go in a boom and bust bubble cycle, right? But you have to ask yourself, why does this go on? Why does it happen? Much of it can be attributed probably to human emotions. But everyone thinks that this bubble is going to pop with Bitcoin and it's just going to magically go away. Cryptocurrencies and blockchain are just going to magically disappear and no one's ever going to use them. What? For real? No, it ain't gonna. I'm telling you right now, if you can convince me in any way, shape, or form that Bitcoin is going to not be around in 10 years and we are not going to be using cryptocurrencies in 10 years, if you can convince me with facts that this stuff isn't being adopted, the companies aren't investing in it, then fine, I'm right there with you. I'll jump in that boat with you and we'll continue down this crazy fiat monetary system that hasn't worked ever. It constantly ends up in a crapper. Why? Because it debases the monetary system. So one of the things this article points out is that people try to compare Bitcoin to the tulip bubble. You're comparing Bitcoin to a flower. What good is a flower? Other than it looks nice, smells nice. And if you actually look up the tulip bubble, tulip craze, it lasted about 2 years. And then it was valued at basically nothing. So some people say, well, that's what's going to happen to Bitcoin. It's not going to be worth anything. I know, because was it Argentina and Paraguay? There were two South American countries that settled a debt using Bitcoin. One of the beautiful things about Bitcoin is it doesn't care, right? And the game theory that's put into it. So when you understand the monetary, economic side of Bitcoin, along with the code, the unstoppable code of Bitcoin, it's not going to go away. It is a much better form of sound money. And then I also want to point out to you that it's not going to be the latest, greatest, have all the features kind of cryptocurrency, right? It's not going to be the fastest right now. It's not going to run smart contracts right now. Why? Because it's the most valuable, and anything that Bitcoin tries to do, they have to consider, the developers have to consider everything that goes into it. So there are Bitcoin maximalists that say we don't need any other cryptocurrency other than Bitcoin. I don't agree with that. I'm not one of those people. I think the more the merrier, because it creates competition, creates the ability for people to look at maybe problems from one currency and fix those problems, or adopt ideas from the other ones that came up with something unique or different that solved the problem. So I really do not believe that Bitcoin is in the bubble that people claim that it's in. This bubble, I think, inflates and deflates, but each time it inflates and deflates, it gets stronger. And it keeps getting stronger and stronger due to the whole game theory design that went into Bitcoin's algorithm to create it. So when you dive into that and understand that when Bitcoins were created, initially the reward was pretty high. So people who were mining Bitcoin early on got 50 or so Bitcoin. And then it halved a couple years later, 4 years later, and it was 25. And then it was 12 and a half. And when it halves again, it's going to go down to 6 and a quarter or whatever it is. So what that does is limits the supply, right? So now there's less coins being created. So the supply is limited. And then as it gains more adoption, the demand increases, which increases the price of Bitcoin. And then let's go on to the side that when you mine Bitcoin, all right, well, if it gets more valuable, I'll just mine it. And so what if I only get 1 Bitcoin in an entire year with mining it? It's worth, 100,000. Well, it becomes less profitable. Like right now, Bitcoin's price is slightly profitable from what I understand for the miners to keep mining it. It's like slightly profitable, not majorly profitable. Maybe it'll break it even, I don't know. But what'll happen is when people are like, well, I'm not making enough money to cover the cost to mine Bitcoin anymore, and those mining rigs hop off, the hashing rate or the hashing power decreases, and then the difficulty to solve the algorithm decreases and becomes easier. So then those people are able to create those Bitcoins easier. And vice versa. Just goes in the complete opposite. As more hashing power comes on, the difficulty increases, and it's harder to solve those algorithms, which limits how quick these Bitcoins get created in these blocks. So, I encourage you, if you don't know anything about Bitcoin, to please read the white paper, at least from the economic side of it and the math side of things, and how it's this ebb and flow of back and forth. It's beautiful. It's like a piece of artwork that was created once. It's the blueprint for money moving forward. So all these cryptocurrencies that are out there, I think they're going to be around for quite some time. I think Bitcoin and Litecoin may be like settlement layers, store of value layers, where large amounts of money will be stored or transferred back and forth due to the security of those networks. And you'll have other ones that'll come up the ranks. And they have some even cool, I mean, you look at Litecoin, it wants to incorporate the fungibility side of money. And they're really serious about it. So that'll happen. They're going to use the Mimblewimble protocol. So if you want to know about how they're going to do that, look up Mimblewimble. Digibyte is adding Dandelion protocol to hide your IP address to keep your money hidden from who sent it to you, which is nice. So, and it's kind of like how you think of a dandelion when you blow it and it scatters and goes all over the place. It's kind of how the Dandelion protocol will work. Forget how the Mimblewimble fungibility privacy will work, but it'll be an option built into Litecoin. And then guess who will probably adopt it later? Bitcoin. Just as Bitcoin and Litecoin are adopting Lightning Network right now. So, the pin, I think, is already actually in the fiat bubble. It just hasn't popped it. And when it pops, folks, it's going to pop. Now, maybe it doesn't pop and it has a big loud bang and everything just happens automatically. A lot of people would like that to happen. Out with the old, in with the new. I don't know if financially the world would be able to deal with that. I think we'd have a lot of issues. I think we'd have a lot of problems worldwide if there was this big financial reset and everybody said, well, now you got to use crypto. I don't know if that would work. I don't. So I think it's going to be a gradual thing. You start to see the adoption happen, or businesses will start to accept it. Small businesses will start. Then your small to medium enterprises will adopt it. Then you'll get into the corporations. But I think this initial phase of adoption is going to be the investment side. I'm not saying that the adoption with businesses accepting cryptocurrency right now isn't happening. It is, but it's on a small scale when you think of how much money and how many people are actually involved with cryptocurrency right now. So keep that in mind. If somebody says that Bitcoin's in a bubble, cryptocurrency will never work, just ask them to do some research. Ask them if they've ever listened to a professional or someone who's actually studied this, or someone who goes around speaking about this. If they've ever just sat down and took a day and listened to someone like Andreas Antonopoulos, you'll be amazed. So, again, Bitcoin is not in a bubble. I mean, if it is in a bubble, I think it's more in a balloon that won't ever break, because it's one of those unbreakable balloons. Each time Bitcoin comes down in price, more innovation happens, more things are going on, more adoption occurs, and then the price goes back up. And really, this price discovery is based off of speculation right now. Wait till things are adopted. Wait till it's difficult to even try to buy any Bitcoin. So that's what I had on my mind today. I hope you all enjoyed this content. Again, please like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Share this video wherever you can. And we'll be back at it again tomorrow. Take it easy, y'all, and peace.